Hey guys, this is the video for helping you with working with the repository. Right now, I know that all the code is there in our wiki pages. Wherever you write your wiki document, you just insert the code there. That's not a really good practice. So let's learn how to use the repository because that's going to help everybody and it eases a lot of work. So if you look at the Bitbucket screen, this is the source page, and here is where your source code exists for the old drone part. And you should know two terms, the trunk and the branch. So they're just two folders, so two different source code areas. The trunk is where we push the final code, and the branch is where we have a temporary code like everyday stuff. So today I'm working on some piece of code and I'm afraid that maybe my system will crash at night, so I don't want to lose code. I'm pushing it into the branch just to make sure that it is safe. Branches can be like for development, for testing, and then for production, or it can be only for or it can be for individuals. So I created a branch RTO network underscore Kritika. So you can create similar branches. It's just to keep your source code separate and not get make it not interfere with other people's source code. But you cannot work like that forever because eventually all our code should be in one place and it should be merged. So it will probably be a good practice to merge it once every 2 weeks. Probably when you finish a module, you want to just put it together. So I have a source code section for BMOS web UI alone, and then we'll probably have one for the mobile UI. So let's say this is our RTO network. I'll just show you how to check out code, create a branch, and then use that branch to work, and then merge, check out, etc. So this is our RTO network source page, and this is our default repository. This is what was originally checked out from the Berkeley Labs source. So this is our default, and let's see. Um, I want to create a branch here, so it's very simple. So just go here, say create a branch, and let's say I actually created this is my third video, so there are already two more branches created. I'll find out a way to delete it later. So let's say this branch name is BMOS development, and I'm saying create. So this is where my branch is created. So now I want to check out code from this branch, and when I say check out code, it means you're pulling out the code from the repository created for you. So BMOS development, let's say it is assigned to me and I want to work only in this repository. So what you do is you link your local source code to this repository alone and not disturb the other repositories. Go to your system, go to BMOS here, and let's go to PyDev, and let's say import. Okay, so when you say import, you go to Mercurial, clone existing Mercurial repository, and then you say um, bitbucket.org/bmos/rtu network/branch/ bmos underscore development, and then I include my username and password, and then I say next. So your clone directory name is like what the local name here will be, and then you check out your project into the workspace. The parent directory is your this workspace directory. You say next. It's going to clone it from the repository. I want the BMOS development as what the code should be checked out as. So then I just click on finish. So you can see the BMOS development appearing here. this is what we will be using henceforth. I will be using henceforth to push all my code into. So BMOS development, if you right click, you can see team. Let me explain a little bit about this. So when you first do this, you should not touch commit, push, pull, or update without getting into what details you have to merge or what details you have to check in. So let's always say synchronize. So it says no changes found, it always says that, don't bother. So it has a synchronized view in Eclipse which you open. So it says incoming and empty, outgoing empty, etc. So let's go back to our PyDev perspective, and I'm going to go in and try to change this piece of code. This is a test learning Bitbucket, something like that, and I save it. And now you see the small star mark which says that your code is new and does not exist in the repository, whereas all the other pieces of code shows the small cylindrical box which says it's synchronized with the repository. So now you go to bmos_development home, and then go to team, and then go to synchronize. It says no changes found, don't bother, just go into the perspective, and now you can see this project and this. If you look very closely, this is an outward arrow which is gray in color, and if it is an incoming, it is probably a blue arrow in which is pointing like this side, so which means it is incoming. So here you have options to see. This is synchronize all branches, this it says pull and update, this is says push all. So pull and push is the term that Mercurial uses to commit, check in and check out code. Incoming mode, so yeah, that's what I said. So there's a blue arrow that's pointing inwards for incoming, and this is pointing outwards, and this is showing us both the incoming and the outgoing. You check on this, so it is going to show you the incoming is empty, then it's empty. So now I want to put it in both the modes, and right now the outgoing is in empty and incoming is empty. What you do is you do this hardware, double click on the hardware, and then you can see this is the remote file which exists in the repository, and this is the new file. It actually shows you what changes have been made. So this is the change that I made. Okay, so I want to check in this. Let's do a commit here, because we know that the code is fine. Let's assume that this is a piece of code, the code is fine, we don't have any changes to make. Just say commit, and you should always make sure to give a commit message, because 10-15 days later if you go in and see the code, you'll never understand why you did the check-in, why you checked in the code to the repository, why you pushed the code to the repository. So I'm going to say this is a test for Bitbucket source repo tutorial. So what all code you need, that alone you check in here, and then you say okay. When you do that, it doesn't immediately check in the code, because you can still see the difference here, and then now you see one in outgoing. Less than a minute ago I made that change. Now if you click on that, it's showing you what is outgoing. You click on this and say push, and before you say push, always make sure that this is in your branch. The link is here, branch, we must have whatever. And then say push. So that is gone. It's now in the repository, so that's why it is there. So now I want to okay. So now let's see what happened in the repository. There's a new branch, development. Then you can see here 57 seconds ago, test for Bitbucket source repo tutorial. That is exactly what we checked in. And this is a test, learning Bitbucket. That's the piece of code that I wrote. And this is under BMOS development. So there are so many other branches but this is the BMOS development branch. Um, and if you go to the BMOS home, this is a repository created. Go to RTU network, and then now you can see test for Bitbucket source report tutorial. All this appears here. So if you click on this commit and go in, it shows you exactly what changes have been made. It removed this one line and added these three lines. So that's what happened. So you can do a side-by-side difference, and it shows you what changes happened and how. So that's how you change the source code. Let us say, just to give you a piece of reality here, let's say we do go to the listener agent and then listener and then agent. Then now I'm going to add copy periodic settings dot publish heartbeat underscore test listener agent heartbeat test. Let's say that this is okay. Here is full light, and one more thing you should always understand is that you should test the code properly before you check in the code. Don't check in any unchecked code, untested code, because it will probably break your break the next checkout that you do from the system. So let's see. Okay, that's a huge difference that I set there. Mm. So at least the code is not breaking. So let me stop it there, and then okay, I want to um, check in this piece of code. So you can see I changed the code and it has this mark here. Then again, let me go. So whatever the parent branch is there, also you see that mark. So I go to team, then I go to synchronize, and then it says that let's go here, and don't bother about this anytime because it is very specific to Eclipse. So when you check it out, and it'll be different. So now I want to just push this code in. So let's see, when you do the compare, what happens. So it says a new set of code has been added at this position, that the new code is here. This is the local file and this is the remote file. So, and I'm going to say commit to this code, test listener agent addition. Okay, and then this. So you can go on and see. So the listener agent, exactly the folder is being seen. Then I do a push. So till you do a push, it will not go into the repository. That's one thing you should understand. So if you go into RTU network, it says test listener agent addition. If you go on to that, it's going to say where exactly you changed it. The side-by-side difference is going to say this was the old file and this is the new file. So that's how you learn how to do changes. And source, Bitmouse development, agents, listener agent, listener, test listener agent addition. It says agent.py. Right, see, there's a test thing that I added. Right, so you can also edit here, but I would suggest that you never do it. It'll make your code, your whole process more complicated. I think let's go to wiki here. I just want to make sure that I covered all what I wanted to cover. Check out the branch into Eclipse, create a branch, check in your code. Yeah, so these are the three that you need to get started with. We can have a session in case it is required to actually go further into all these things. If you have any more questions or doubts which I can help you with. Thanks